Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Abeer's Book Reviews, and today I'll be reviewing this book, Hilbilly Elegy by JD Vance. There it is. And just to preface, this book was written quite a while ago. It was before any of Vice President JD Vance's political endeavors. At this point, I'm pretty sure he was working at either a law firm or an investment firm. So it's quite a while before he jumped into the realm of politics, ran for Ohio Senate, then ran for vice president, whatever. And the subtitle of the book, A Memoir of a Family and Culture in Crisis. I think it perfectly sums up the essence of this book. So basically what it talks about is the culture of the American Appalachian communities. So somewhere along the mountains of Kentucky, Pennsylvania, there used to be the Rust Belt. Now, pretty much these old copper mines and other coal mines and these very heavy industrious small towns, which prospered quite a lot during prior to and during the First and Second World Wars, because everyone was ramping up production, industrialization was in full swing. But what happened over time eventually was that this production was fizzled out after the Second World War for multiple reasons. Shifted to other places. The car factory shut down, the coal plant shut down, the copper mine shut down. It became cheaper to make cars in China, so a lot of the manufacturing was offshored and a lot of the industrial activity was offshored. And that left a vacuum in these towns, in the Rust Belt towns of America, of the U.S. And that is what the book talks about. That once this sort of industrious activity went away from towns in the U.S., like in states like Kentucky, that's very heavily mentioned in the book, and also in the town where JD Vance grew up and was born, Middletown, Ohio, those sorts of places. What has been the effect or downstream effect of the industries leaving on the individuals, on the families of those individuals, and more broadly on the culture? It's a very great reflection on how once you take away the core underpinning values of a place, you don't really have the meta abstractions we build on top of it. These towns were primarily built on the principles of hard, laborious work and religion. And once you take away the hard, laborious work these people used to do, and you take away the regular practice of going to church that these people used to have, it's not a very coherent and cogent society anymore. People are living on welfare checks, people are stealing, people are getting into all sorts of nefarious activities. There's the crime statistics are elevated, the education statistics are down, and overall it shows all the signs of a declining society. And that is what JD Vance comments on and reflects upon, that how it felt growing up in this time, how it felt having grandparents who were affected by this, what it was like having parents, more specifically, who were affected by this. What was it like to have a mom who, from the time that she was born, had pretty much no prospects in life, always told that you're not going to amount to anything, this entire place has gone to shit, you're not going to see, you're not going to have a bright future, your kids are not going to have a bright future, and the toll that takes on a person's mind and the downstream effects that has on a person's family. How JD Vance felt growing up in that state of mind and in that town. A lot of great things to reflect upon. Not only about the hillbilly or the Appalachian culture, but more broadly thinking about, this is just one place. This is just one specific culture in one part of America, who historically, to some extent have been quite privileged. These were white Christians from Europe who immigrated here at the peak of the Industrial Revolution, got well-paying jobs, and just within one generation, all of that is wiped out. And now they are some of the poorest people in America. They're some of the most drug addicted people in America. They're some of the people with the lowest, likelihood of success in America. It gives you a lot of ground to think about. Well, if this can happen to, one of the best cultures in one generation, what about some of the other cultures, not only in America, but in other places as well, third world countries specifically, who have had this problem for multiple generations, whose prospects were taken away 100 years from today or 200 years from today, and they're still struggling with the same problems. It's a lot of great thinking to do. And in the end, JD Vance does not end this on a very on sort of a victim note. He doesn't say that, the industrial offshoring took away these jobs from us. It's so sad. What do we do? No, he pretty much ends it with a call to action, saying that we, or specifically the Appalachians, have to go back to their core principles of hard work, ownership, agency, and that is how you can rebuild the society. If you stop blaming the government for taking away your job, if you get up, you go to work. It could be anything. You go to whatever construction site or tiling site that you can and put in the 8 hours. JD Vance makes a really great compelling argument that is how you rebuild yourself. Doesn't necessarily have to be blaming other people or deflecting it onto other factors which you have no control over, right? Just don't try to act like a victim in most scenarios. And I think it's applicable not only to the Appalachian cultures, but also to a lot of other cultures globally as well. That if you, regardless of the circumstances that have been bestowed upon you or your ancestors, at this point in today's day and age, what's most important is you pick yourself up and you start taking action, and you have a level of agency and you have a level of autonomy to function. And that is going to get you out of this miserable situation, one person at a time, one family at a time, just like JD Vance did. It's overall, I would say it's an incredible book. It's a great book. Highly recommend everyone read it. It's no really political statements were given in the book. It's very balanced. It's quite nuanced in the way that it talks about specific instances within the Appalachian cultures of things going wrong, and how JD grew up looking at them and reflecting on them. And even then, he also sort of makes the case that just because you escape it once doesn't mean that you can not fall back into the trap. Just because you did one good thing or made one good decision and now you're not out of the trap completely. You're still going to be surrounded by the same types of people, by the same types of attitudes, by the same types of economic factors, until there's a domino effect of agency. At some point you break through. That's sort of the main case that JD Vance makes in this book, and it's a great read. You can perceive it as being sort of a motivational book or self-help book. I did not. I looked at it specifically as sort of reflections on what happens when a culture starts losing its core values and how to come back, because it's a very miserable state that a lot of cultures in the US and elsewhere end up in once a series of bad events happen, and people just shift their mentality completely. Bad events happen, you stop going to church. Bad events happen, you stop going to work. You lose yourself, your sense of morality. You lose yourself a sense of agency, and how they can all be rebuilt. That's how I perceive the book. Of course, a lot of people are going to have a lot of different opinions about it, but overall, I would recommend this book to pretty much every single person who can get their hands on it. It's an awesome book. Here it is once again. Hilbilly Elegy by JD Vance. So that's it for the review. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you hit the like button. If you're new and haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel to keep receiving more videos like this one. I've been Abeer Rao, and thanks for watching.